So, continuing with this, and obviously I've got to put new seals on there. So the gearbox is back in, and that is now in neutral. If I try and stop this with my finger, you can see that, well actually, anyway, trust me, then it's in. Right, let me try and put my knee on that and stop it. There, look. That's better. So it's in, that's in neutral now. I did notice this on the crank. I don't know if you can see that blue line. And I don't know what that means. And according to the Haynes manual, it says install this chain the right way around. So I don't know what that means. But anyway, so I've just put this towards there, if that makes sense. Anyway. And then I've started putting in the gear selectors and the gear selector drum. So what I've done with this is there's markings on them. So we've got L, C and R, and you've got to select this, you've got to put it in as neutral. And let me just take that out actually, and I'll try and show you what it means by that. 2 seconds. Now I haven't bolted this in yet, but so it needs bolting in. But it says selectors put it in as neutral, and I think when it's in neutral, you see them little bits sticking out. They need to line up there, so that's how you know it's in neutral. And there's a little dot there as well, so if you have that pointing up here somewhere, I don't know. And I think there's that kink, so that needs to be at the bottom, but I think it's mainly them three where they end, they need to be sort of like there. And then as you put these on, them little dots, look, they sit in there like that and line up. Do you know what I mean? So we'll give it a go. Right. So what you need to do as well is you put that spring on. This spring here goes round the body of that bolt locating. Then you put the backing plate on, and then you put this little arm on with a little wheel with a little notch in it. The notch goes at the bottom there, where that spring locates into it. You can see that the spring isn't on there just yet, because when I tried to put the spring on first, that end, because that end goes behind that little notch thing down there, when I tried to do that I couldn't get this on to this one, so I'm going to now just push that spring behind there and that'll do it then. And then that's the neutral. So you see how there's all, these have got pointy bits on. The one that's missing, like a half of it's missing, that's the neutral thing. That's the neutral. So I'll put that spring on now. I'll fasten that spring onto there, and I'll show you when that's done. So the spring now, when this decides to focus, the spring now has been pushed behind that thing there, and all I did was I just got a screwdriver and just push it down and it just slotted in. So now, that's what it's looking like so far. Right, also watch, when you're putting that in, there's a tiny little spring that goes in a little slot, then there's like a brass bloody doorknob handle thing that sits there, and then this plate slits in, there's a groove that sits in it, and then you screw that up. When you turn that, it turned the actual selector drum, which knocked it out of neutral. So what I had to do then was I had to put it back, turn it again and put it back onto that notch that's been cut out, because you've got to put it into neutral when you're putting the crankcases back together. Okay. So that's all lined up in there. So that just should just go onto the gearbox now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the gear selector shaft in. Right. So the gear selector shaft's in now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to do a dry test fit of the crankcase onto here. Obviously we've still got to put this little, there's a little washer and like a brass collar thing that goes in there. I just want to put this on here just to make sure that I can select all the gears, and if that works then I know it's that position, and what I'll do is I'll take it back off and then we'll do it for real then, obviously after inserting that and putting some sealant round and stuff like that round there. So I'll do a test fit first. Right, so to get it in, what I had to do was stand it on some blocks, because the cam chain tensioner guide wouldn't let me put it in. Like I say, this is only a test fit. I've not put any sealant around because all I want to do is just make sure that the gears work, and then if they do then I know I'm doing something right. So I'm spinning the gears now. You can see that I'm spinning that, and that's in neutral. Believe it is, I can stop that with my finger, look. So that's in neutral. So what I'll do now is I'll go through all the gears and just see if it works. Yep, all the gears work perfect. All 5 of them. I wish I could have got my hand on a YZF 750 gearbox, but they're like bloody, they wanted 250 quid off eBay for them. I'm not paying that. So anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick our loss up in a minute. So I'm going to leave this as it is for now. So in the next video, I will take the this crank half back off. Then I'll get all the seals ready, and then I'll put the sealant round, which is here. So I've got that 3 bond, and then I'll put all that round. Then we'll put this back on for real then, and then we can start putting the bolts in. And once all the bolts are in, then I'll stick on the oil pump and stuff.